The current process of a compulsory purchase means that when notice is served for acquisition, acquiring authority can take possession within usually 3 months of the date of that service. The big disadvantage with that is that there is no requirement for the acquiring authority to pay all the money up front before they can take possession. That is the most fundamental flaw in the compulsory purchase system and is manifestly unfair on anybody who loses property. The bottom line is that once notice has been served, the claimant is effectively chucked off their land, whether they've had any compensation or not. You wouldn't sell your house to a purchaser unless you had had 100% of the proceeds. That should apply in compulsory purchase. HS2 are in many cases not prepared to make payments for either of those two aspects until the scheme has been finished and they can see what the final effect would be. The unfairness is that if you have lost land, you're waiting for 6 or 7 years for receiving the compensation, and that is just manifestly unfair. The HS2 scheme is being designed as we go along, and it's on a cost plus basis, so the costs are running out of hand. You should be no worse off by the scheme, but in fact everybody is worse off. They don't get the full payment, often for many years. They have all the stress which is not compensated, and they don't have the money to replace the assets that have been lost. The main change that needs to be made to compulsory purchase is that no land should be possessed until it has been paid for as to 100%. It's not equitable that the government or an acquiring authority should benefit to the disbenefit of the person whose land has been acquired. It's not equitable, it's not been fair for many, many years, and that is the most fundamental change that should take place.
Whereas Nick Barlow's given a very comprehensive description of the inherent unfairness of the CPO system, HS2 has taken that unfair system and introduced fraud. To me personally and to many others, the former Deloitte's partner, Michael Eckert, who was one of those who initiated the process of false accounting between 2013 and Royal Assent in 2017, made it clear that the only amounts available to pay CPO claimants were within his budget. His budget was made up of deliberately and premeditated fraudulent figures designed to induce the passing of the hybrid bill in 2017. So instead of the statutory entitlement to fair and reasonable compensation, HS2 has defrauded over 20,000 individuals of their homes and business premises and investments merely to try and keep this fraudulent project, this gravy train, within their budget. Of course, they couldn't succeed in doing that. As we know, the budget has ballooned 5 times and the project has been reduced to a non-viable shadow of the original project.